Hello, this is Carl Loban, editor-in-chief of DJ Magazine, and also the co-owner of Jack Said What Records and author and DJ. You're listening to the Liverpool Connection Podcast, music and football episodes.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Liverpool Connection Podcast. This is my music and football and a bit more episodes where I bring on a DJ, musician, producer to talk about, either music and football or just music. Today, my special guest, I think he's one of the UK's leading and most respected house DJs and producers. He's got his hands in so many different pies, and we'll talk about that because he must have more hands than what a normal person does. I bring on today is Steve Mack. Steve, welcome to the pod.
Thanks for having us, Daz. Thanks for bringing us on.
So how many hands do you have?
Only two, unfortunately. If only I had more, I
just don't know how you do it. I really don't.
Yeah, it's a labour of love. It sure is. I think I was talking to a friend earlier, and just this disco album we've just produced with Irving for his Men in Love book that's coming out. Mm-hmm. To get it over the line, I really hit the sort of production side of it in January, and I was leaving my home at 4 a.m. in the morning to come in every day. And then, of course, don't come in at the weekends, but you take everything home and then carry on editing vocals. And, it's a kind of non-stop process, really.
Well, you have to be in love with it. You just have to, because, I think this day and age, you look at some producers and obviously the whole TikTok thing, and kids want to get into it because, it's the champagne caviar kind of dream, but it's like, you've got to graft.
Yes. Yeah, you have. I've been doing it for over 30 years now. And, it's been a roller coaster. There's been a lot of successful stuff. There's been a lot of stuff that's flopped, and stuff you think is going to do all right and it doesn't, and then ones that you least expect blow up, and it's just crazy, and it's a tougher game now to get into, I think.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think with the whole TikTok and like social media thing, people can have like an overnight success with a 40-second clip, but after that 40-second clip has done its rounds, then what? And I think that's the thing. Longevity for me is key. It makes me respect an artist much more when
absolutely
it's not shoved in your face and you can see the ups and downs. And obviously record companies, especially the big ones, EMI and all that, Virgin, if you don't have a hit, they'll drop you so quickly. And I really appreciate like the more down to earth record labels and and the independent ones are the ones that stick around, and I think they really help an artist grow.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the problem you've got with the majors now, really, it's it's like everything, really. It's like it's all run by accountants now because everything is numbers. So, it's even going down to promoters. They start go, oh, right, how many Spotify followers has he got? How many streams is he getting? And, it's how many followers you got on, like you say, TikTok or Instagram. It's like you have to be sort of like a present now. Mm-hmm. As like a face, as well as making the music and doing everything else. It's quite mad, how it's changed so much.
Well, I mean, going, when you had a record come out like back in the day, you would sling it around record shops. That's your promotion, is taking a boot full of your dub plates, acetates, or white labels, and you'd sling them at a record shop. Now it's just put a 40-second clip on TikTok, Instagram, and I'm with you, because I'm still trying to grasp the whole plot of social media. Obviously telling my age as well. I'm one of the, granddads sitting on a chair outside your house telling the kids to get off your grass kind of, person. I'm just still trying to get my head around it. And I see so many DJs and producers, and it's exactly what you just said. If they don't have the followers, then people automatically think they're crap.
Yeah.
Well, they can't be good because they've only got 100 followers, and they'll book a DJ that's got, thousands upon thousands, and they're just a button presser.
Yeah, basically. I can't get my head around it, to be honest, still. Because I'm the older demographic as well, and came from a different time. I mean, it was still like back in the day, if we're working like on certain records, and you're working with certain record companies that had a bit of money behind them, and they were going to go for the hit record, you'd still do the photo shoots and things, and even music videos, and you do a lot of PR sort of stuff. But it was more sort of magazines then. So you do your interviews with, I don't know, Mix Mag, DJ Magazine, and whoever was around at them times. But that was kind of very important then. Now, not so much. It's different. Everything's online. So it's kind of keeping your socials sort of tidy and having them looked after. It's kind of, that's the sort of new PR for music now, really.
Yeah, I mean, it's tough to just follow stuff. I mean, obviously I have a podcast, and quite a few people are like, you need to be putting something on Instagram every single day, on Twitter every day. And I'm like, I can't be doing that. Do something on TikTok. I'm like, I'm in my 50s. I'm doing nothing on TikTok. What do you want me to do? Stand on like, one leg and like balance something while
take your clothes off as well.
Yeah, and playing some music in the background. Yeah, it's just, nobody wants to see me do that. But it's just a weird like behavior. I see some of these videos and I'm going, they've got thousands of views of just doing idiotic things, and I'm just, I can't wrap my head around it. I go, there's a lot more to life than just acting like a complete prat.
Yeah, I mean, it happened to a friend of mine last year. The guys they were the garage outfit called Sunship. They were quite big in the 90s, like, but sort of, it was that two-step speed garage sort of stuff. And it was one of their like old remixes, and I can't remember the name of it, but it suddenly blew up on TikTok. James, one of the guys from it, he's like a really good friend of mine. He's just pops down the studio every day because he moved to Brighton recently. He's going, this is fucking mad. It goes, we're just getting millions and millions of views. And it went out to about 500 million, like on TikTok, or it was more. It was something stupid. And then, of course, the major record companies started sniffing around it. But then I think it was the old label it was originally signed to, and then it didn't quite work out because he just wasn't fast enough. It was quite mad. He was based in the States as well then. He wasn't in London anymore. So, and really hadn't had any dealings with the music industry for quite a long time. So they just, it's even to the point where, Pete Tong starts playing it and going, right, this is going to be a summer hit, a TikTok smash. And you're like, Jesus Christ, this is nuts. But it didn't happen. Yeah.
That's a shame.
It's a real shame, yeah.
I mean,
he's going to take us all on holiday.
That's the thing. You got to be on it, like,
yeah,
all the time. And if you miss the trip, that's it.
Absolutely, yeah.
I want to talk about your roots in music. So
okay.
I always like to know Like, what was playing in your house as a kid, and did that influence, any of your, upbringing musically?
Well, it kind of didn't at the start, but it did in the future. So my old man was really into the Beatles and the Stones and 10cc and ELO. Lots of just like really sort of good bands, 60s, 70s. And I was just, you know what you like when you're a kid. It's like, oh, that's old man's music, innit? And I mean, me personally, I got into the whole thing. I was about 11 years old, and it's from listening to kids at school, his headphones, and he had an electro album on, and I heard he played me Cybertron Clear, and it blew my head off, and it started my journey on electronic music and buying records and becoming a DJ. I started out as a DMC scratch mix DJ, like very young. I think I entered the first competition when I was about 13 or 14. It was just, and that was the journey of it. It was quite mad, and it was just later on. And then even my mum used to listen to things like Glenn Campbell and stuff like that. And now I listen to them records now and think, how amazing and beautiful these records are. I appreciate it much more now than I ever did. And I think when you become a music maker, you sort of you hear things differently, and you hear all the details of everything, and the real musicality of it is quite mind blowing, So that's how I started out, really.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's the same. I think with most people, there's like, when you first hear your parents, like, jamming in the house, and you kind of go, what is this? Like, I want none of it. I mean, my dad was Deep Purple, Black Sabbath,
Right, okay.
and Lizzie, so he was the rocker, and my mum was the Soulstress, Elvis, the Beatles, she just loved soul music. So I had the best of both worlds, and then my sister was the one that got me into kind of like dance music, Depeche Mode, Erasure, Yazoo. So we all fall into it. But yeah, like you said, you kind of go back as you get older, and you listen to these, the albums again, and you're like, the production was really good,
Amazing.
sounds, and you hear sounds that you didn't hear before. That's what I do with a lot of music. When I get something new, like with Dave's album, you put the headphones on and you just lose yourself. And I've listened to it about 20 times already, and
Wow.
I keep hearing something different musically every single time I put the headphones on. And it's kind of like when I go listen back to like Deep Purple again, I'm like, those riffs were absolutely amazing. The bass lines, the drumming. I didn't appreciate that when I was like, in my early teens. I was just like, God damn, this hurts my head,
It's fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Music does that to you, and I always, like, at the end of the podcast, I always end up saying, like, search out new music, but also go back for older music, and you might find something that you fall in love with.
Definitely. And that might influence you in making your records as well, because it does me for sure.
100%. So, like, obviously, you started young with the DJing, and it's so bizarre because, I've had so many guests on here that started with DMC.
Yeah.
That started scratching and mostly hip hop, and then moved on to house music. So when Acid House came along, were you already like playing a lot of gigs before that?
I'm not really. Well, the gigs I was kind of doing, because I was young. I was still like 15, 16 years old. It was like more sort of ones that we'd like done school gatherings and stuff like that, like town hall parties and that. But they were good, and and we used to do a lot of them, and so I was just getting into it then, and it was still the hip hop thing then, and then then it sort of started crossing over, and I think you know, the early Todd Terry records really inspired me, like Back to the Beat and Bango and things like that, because it was just a bit speeded up, but it still had that sort of hip hop element to it, and you know, the whole sort of sampling thing, and it was a bit like, wow, what's this? This is a bit different. And then before even sort of realizing the switch that happened, it just happened. And I think hip hop itself was getting very sort of what's the word for it? It was getting very well. It's always a bit political, but it used to be fun in the early 80s. It was fun, and then I think it started getting quite violent, and I just sort of fell out of love with it for a bit. I mean, I love it again now. You know, I love hearing new stuff, and that still is brilliant. Yeah, so the transition sort of just happened. And I just started making records when I was about 15 years old as well. I mean, not very good, but yeah, I remember going to a studio in Barnet called Monroe. I bunked off school to go there. I ended up getting thrown out for it because I never turned up in the end because I was always at the studio. And I remember the first time going in there and they had like a sampler, like it was an Akai S900, and it was sampling bits of records into it. And because I was doing the DMC thing then, and you know, and collecting records, and you'd still collect like old records as well. So you do the Grandmaster Flash 2 copy thing, you know. And using this sampler, it was like having, like I said earlier, the extra hands. It was like having 18 pairs of hands because you could put all these little bits of records all together at once. And I was like, oh, right, okay, this is interesting. So then I just sort of started making records. I mean, I didn't put anything out till I think I was about 21 years old, which was 94. I put my first record out. So it took a few years to really sort of learn it and to buy a couple of bits of equipment because it was so expensive then as well. You know.
Yeah, nothing's changed then.
Oh God, no.
No. It's gotten worse. Like, you know, I mean,
yeah, everything's expensive now. I suppose the only difference is now you only really need, you know, you can get a copy of Logic Ableton and a laptop, and you're away. You know.
Yeah. Just, you know, get your plugins too. So
yeah, that's what a lot of the kids are using now. It's just laptop.
Yeah. Well, I mean, one thing, like one of my mates, I don't know if you know Pete Bones.
I do very well.
He's a very good mate of mine, and you know,
yeah. He lives down here now by me.
Yeah, Brighton. Yeah. I'm glad he's found a home again.
Yes.
He used to come to the States a lot, based out of Tampa. But yeah, yes. I've known Pete for like 25 years, and you know, he basically makes his music on a laptop.
Yeah,
you know, and it always just blows my mind. You know, like you can do that. You know, and then you've got yourself. You know, you've got God knows how many like synths and modulars behind you, and then you've got Pete on a laptop doing his thing. So
yeah. I think Pete still takes it to a friend of his to mix it though, you know.
Well, I know Justin
Drake, yeah,
engineering. So I mean, Justin does like a lot of people's engineering because he's the top man, you know.
Yeah.
Do you do all your engineering yourself?
I have done in the past, but I do a lot of mixing and mastering for people now. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I've actually just set a new business up doing it. And I've got into doing Dolby Atmos mixing as well now, which is quite mental. And that started out because we just finished this disco album, the one that's coming out on the 24th. And it's 10 records. And we got a couple of quotes to get the Atmos mixes. And basically the reason for is Apple really supported the spatial audio mixes. And our distributor said to us, look, it's worth getting the Atmos mixes done because you'll get really big support from Apple and it'll really help push the album. But it's like for 10 tracks, it's like you're talking like $8,000 and you're like, bloody hell, that's a lot of money. I went, hold on a minute. let me look into it. And I just took a month aside and learned it. And now I'm like, oh right, okay. So I've got a 7.1 system set up at home anyway, and I've bought all the software, spent a lot of time watching tutorials and learning it and learning how to get it right. And yeah, it's quite mad. It's like, it's another one under my belt now. But I suppose the thing is, if you know what you're doing with sort of mixing records anyway, it kind of just comes into play in the same way, just a little bit different. That's all.
Well, I mean, it's always good to know these things.
Absolutely.
But one of my, like, I try and look. I'm much better, like, if I was in a classroom and somebody was teaching me like Logic and Ableton. I still am having, like, I'm 70-30 learning it. 30% pisses me off,
Yeah.
And I'm one where, like, I've watched the YouTube tutorials and they go either too fast, because you're watching them and then you're also on your computer trying to do it. I'm much better if it's like the person's like right in front of me. I just learn much better than that. I've always learned that way. And like Ableton's my go-to. My wife, she likes to mess with stuff too, and she started with Reason and Logic, and she knows Ableton. Like, she just gets it, and there I am just getting frustrated, like want to brick at my computer screen. But yeah, it's just always good to learn like all these programs, especially if you're a producer and even a DJ, because you do your editing.
Yeah.
There as well, and it's what like Pete told me, he goes, once you actually get Ableton, it's like riding a bicycle, and you'll be able to do
yeah, of course it is. Yeah, it's just
the
learning. I mean, to be honest, I think the hardest thing, the whole production thing, is actually getting things to sound right.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's always been the thing, and the mix down side of it. That is because it's what got me for years, and then I started like spending so much money on all this expensive equipment, and I've still got it all. It's like all these different, like, vintage compressors, equalizers, and all kinds of stuff. But I sort of went down a rabbit hole of learning all this stuff, and like, just bashing my head against the wall, going, why can't I get it to sound like this? What's this? What's that? And but coming out the other side, it's been absolutely brilliant, because it gives you your own sound. Mm-hmm. I still master to tape. It sounds great. Mm-hmm. To me, it makes it sound like a record, if it's set up right.
Well, I mean, I've talked to quite a few people as well, and like, when you send it to, like, it's your baby, it's your music, and then when they send it to an engineer will do it the way he feels or she feels the way it should be done. And then some of them have gone, that's not what I wanted.
Yeah, this is where you need to be very careful, because I mean, what I do, where I do the mixes for people, I go, send me the demo of kind of the rough levels that you want it, then I'll listen to it, and then I'll just pick up on all the mistakes, get rid of all the horrible frequencies, put them right, but keep their vibe. Mm-hmm. And usually 9 times out of 10, they go, bloody hell, that's brilliant. Thank you. 9 times out of 10.
Al, I think you have to have that one that, keeps you on your toes. But I think that's the biggest thing is being able to engineer, Steve, because you obviously know on Beatport or, whatever streaming service that sells music.
Yeah.
A bedroom producer can put it out quite easily. And
absolutely.
You can definitely tell. And again, 9 out of 10.
Yeah.
The levels are not right.
Yeah. Yeah, it's true.
So being able to engineer your own tracks, I think, is number one, or get a really good engineer that is on the same level as you. Like the biggest one I can say is, like, Goldie. Goldie's
Yeah.
one that he has all this stuff inside his head.
Yes.
He's not he's got the magic, but the magic is his engineer who puts
Yeah.
it together. And I think a lot of these bedroom producers, I'll go on Beatport, spend a couple hours on Beatport, and the music just doesn't go through me like it should if it was engineered correctly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. Yeah. It's usually down to the mix down.
Yeah.
It's a dark art. It really is.
Oh, I bet. And many hours learning it.
Yeah. I'm really glad that I did take the time and went down that hole, and but can mix them so quickly now, because I've got my room set up right, and all the flaws that I've had to learn along the way, I now know. So you don't make them same mistakes anymore. You can get around things very quickly, and even listening to things, you can tell people where they've gone wrong very quickly as well. And just to change a couple of things can make all the difference. It's quite mad. Yeah.
Well, you're a seasoned veteran now.
Yeah, I would say so.
You've got the badge.
I have.
Well, I obviously, Acid House took, a major step for you.
Yes.
When was it when you thought to yourself, like, I can make a living out of this? Because, obviously, back in the day, you heard of these DJs, and they were blowing up the scene, and then they just faded once like 2000 kind of hit, and that big, the rave scene kind of slowed down, and it was more super clubs. When did you figure out, like, I can make money from this? But something I love doing.
Yeah, well, it's kind of weird. It wasn't to start out with. It wasn't really about any money or whatsoever. Never even sort of crossed my mind, to be honest. It was just, we were just so into the music thing, that we were just getting on with it. And then I think when we put the first record out, it's like 94. I was 21 years old, and that's when I was working with Rob, and we had we started a Rhythm Masters thing. We had manager come in then, Jonathan Waller, who I'm still really good friends with. I actually might be meeting him this weekend, because he lives in Thailand now, so he's over for a while. And he was more the sort of businessman, and then we realised we had to get off the dole, and and start making some money, and we did slowly. We were making enough to pay the bills, keep us alive, just about. We were selling quite reasonable amount of records, even though we weren't really well known. But what we did to sort of get up there, and it happened quite quickly for us. I mean, it was, I think what really hit the mark for us when we did a remix of Todd Terry's Jumping for Manifesto Records, which was run by Eddie Gordon and Judge Jules then. And we'd actually did a bootleg of it, and Jules had called us, and Jules had been a supporter anyway, had been playing our records and knew us for a couple of years anyway. He went, I love that bootleg you've done. He goes, but I've just paid a fortune for this, so can you get it off the shelves, please? He goes, if you do, I'll give you the official remix. I'm like, okay. So we made sure we'd done a very, very good job of it. We spent about 7 days, because all the edits in there and that, we were doing that on an Atari, and like a Akai sampler. I think it was an S3000 or something, which it was painfully, it was painful, the amount of time it took to do all these edits, but we did it, and we did a good job. And then as an instrumental record, a club record, everyone started playing it that weekend, all the DJs. It went to number 7 in the pop charts. It was just unheard of. So I was like 23 years old when that happened. So, and then everything blew up very, very quickly. And then it was like we've just been offered to do everything, And then, it was just absolutely mental. And then, I think then as machines, it really kicked in. Then we were just working around the clock. We had 2 studios in the house, and we were just, it was like a factory.
Well, I think, when you get on that train, you've just got to keep pumping them out.
Yeah, definitely.
Was it hard for, obviously, kind of pop stars coming to get remixes? Was it hard to just say no to some of them, or were you just taking them all on at that time?
Yeah, it was very difficult to say no to the amount of money they were offering us. So we were just doing all of them because it was insane. But, we were kind of doing our thing and doing what we wanted, and they were being accepted. And, it was we just went with it. And, I think it got to a point where it started calming down a bit. And I remember talking to an A&R guy at Positiva Records then, which was Dave Lambert. And he went, well, he goes, it's coming to that end of that thing for you now, and it'll be on to the next. And I walked out of me. So I went to Rob. I went, right, okay, we need to start an underground label. Let's start Dysfunctional Records. And we just started making all this mental stuff. And then we had people like Roger Sanchez, DJ Sneak, Armand Van Helden, all of them jumping on it. Daft Punk, they all started playing the records. And then before you know, we started making mates with all these guys. And then we had a resurgence again. It was like, oh right, these guys are here to stay. And then the remixes started flooding in again with this new sound that we created, and we smashed it again. It was just insane, Yeah,
I can't imagine Daft Punk and Armin van Helden coming to my door and
Yeah, we were going over to New York and hanging out in his big loft he used to live in, with all his record collection all across the wall, and it's just mental. He had so many records. I mean, he was pretty good at the sampling thing, wasn't he?
Yeah. I mean, it's so funny. I've got I saw Armin van Helden in North Carolina, in the late 90s. And it must have been 90 to 100 degrees, and especially in the club. And he was wearing this massive puffer jacket.
Yeah, as he does.
Hot as hell. He looked cool as hell. But
he always looked cool.
Yeah. And he's still
a lovely guy, though. And really funny, down to earth. He was a bit too cool for school then, back in the day, but now he's really chilled in that. And I bump into him every now and then in a beef or so, and always sit down and have a few beers and have a catch up, and always have a good fun. You know what I mean? It's always good jokes with him. Yeah.
Well, I think a lot of the DJs and producers back then, once they had hits, kind of got a bit cocky. Kind of like Liam Gallagher with Oasis. He had Armand just had this coolness about him, but cockiness as well.
Yeah.
And just like with everyone with age, you kind of chill out a little bit and go, not as cocky as I was in the 20s or 30s. So
you sort of work out, go, cool, I was a bit of a dickhead back then, wasn't
I? Yeah. So with Rob, when did it come to a point where were you producing by yourself during Rhythm Masters?
Yeah, we were both sort of doing bits by ourselves, and then we just stopped getting on really, and and probably between the two of us, both our egos just got to us as well. We're both cocky fuckers as well, really. And it just came to an end. We had a bit of a fallout, but I saw him the other week. We're good mates now. You know what I mean? But yeah, we did try again, to be honest, about 10 years ago, and we put a few records out, but I think we've both been on such different paths that it just didn't really work anymore, which is fine, But we did have a chat a couple of weeks ago, and some of these records that we had on Dysfunctional, because that label itself is only vinyl still, it never went digital. And he called me a couple of weeks ago, and he goes, look, you remember the Buffalo Bunch, which was the French guys, and he goes, they're really up for remixing Psycho and that. Have you got the parts? And I just start laughing, and I go, well, there's all these AI rippers now, and we managed to rip it with the AI stuff. So I think sort of in the near future we're going to re-release some of the stuff. I'd probably do some on my label, and he'll do some on his new label, and why not?
It's really cool to hear that that you are back in speaking terms as well, because I can imagine, like, working with somebody every single day, and like you said, with two egos,
and living together as well. It's
your best mates. You're producing together. You've got to have that break, and I mean, it'd be great to hear some new Rhythm Master stuff. But can I ask, like, what is your favorite, like, Rhythm Master track, and what's your favorite Rhythm Master remix you've done?
Ooh. Well, definitely I think the Jumping was definitely my favorite remix. It was just absolute killer. Favorite Rhythm Masters track? Not sure. Could be Psycho, actually, the one we were having done. I really did like that one, even though it's very simple and it's in mono as well. A lot of our records back then were in mono because we were just using like old drum machines like SP1200 samplers, and it's all mono. There might be a bit of vocal in there, and that'll be stereo because we'll put an effect on it or something, or the loop in the background might have a bit of stereo. But I'm not really sure my favorite Rhythm Masters record, to be honest. But the Jumping remix, definitely. It's weird. I think it's such a hard question to answer. What's the sort of favorite record you've made? Even I don't know, because you hear them so many times when you're making them, because everything's on repeat. It's like I'll go back to this disco album I've done recently. I'll talk about that more because I've just sort of finished it. But while I was doing all these crazy hours in the studio, then at the weekends, the thing was with my wife, I go, right, at least I spend the weekends at home. But I've got a little setup at home, so I spend the weekends editing vocals. And she would go to me, she'd go, why have you got that one looping around all the time? I go, well, that's what you have to do. And I'm just, you loop sections and you're timing stuff, and you're just getting rid of clicks and pops and things, all the things, obviously no one gets to hear, but it was driving her around the bend, and I think I'm just so used to it now that, but then again, going back to what's your favorite record, God knows, because you've just blasted your brain with loops.
Yeah, I can only imagine, how much stuff you've actually done. So I want come to obviously what's going on now, and working with Carl and Irvin with the label, because both labels are absolutely brilliant.
Thank you.
They're both different.
Yes.
But they're underground. Was that like when you got together? Because I think Carl was telling me it was kind of over COVID you started talking, about doing the labels.
That's right. Yeah.
A little bit about that.
Yeah. Well, me, Carl and Irvin, as friends, have all been hanging out together for years, and me and Irvin were working on a few projects together. And sort of Carl got involved and was kind of helping us like manage it, and this is how it all come about. And in that meantime, just before lockdown, Irvin asked me to help him write the Train Spotting musical, which is going into the West End in London, which is absolutely bonkers, because what an opportunity. But apparently, they'd been asking him to do it for years, and he just kept saying no, no, no. But obviously, when he started working with me, he felt comfortable with me. He could just let his artistic just go with me, and it just worked. We've don't know, we've got something between us that just really, really works. We've written that musical now. It's really good. It's fun. It's just been in the, I think it's the third rehearsal now. It's taken quite a long time because of COVID as well. And then as we went on through COVID, and like, yeah, me and Carl were hooking up, going to the park and that, because that's all you could do then. And we said, yeah, let's get together and start this label. Then I remember going to London. I met Irving in Soho, and I told him about, like, look, me and Carl are going to start a label. And he went, well, what about me? He goes, I'd like to get involved. I went, all right then. I said, but because you're the famous one, you'll have to be the PR bitch. He went, okay. I'm like, brilliant. So and there it was. And I think, what are we on, year 3 or 4 now? Might be, yeah. Yeah, it is again, it's a labour of love, because it's tough getting anyone like to support it, like your platforms like Spotify and Apple, and it's just because it's all controlled by the majors now as well. So it is, for us small indie labels, it's very difficult unless you've been there for a long time, you know, which we haven't. So we just got to keep we've got to keep going, you know.
Well, I mean, you keep putting out quality albums and tracks, it's gonna get traction. And you know, I one thing I know for sure, you'll keep it in the underground, which, you know,
yes,
which is really good, and hopefully no majors come sniffing around going, I want a piece of that pie, because, you know, that's what it is. They see dance music as a pound note, a dollar bill sign, you know, and
of course I do, yeah.
that's the way of the world, you know. In America, you know, the EDM scene is,
God, yeah.
you know, it just makes me sick. Just the words EDM
Yeah, it's horrible.
You know, but it's all manipulated to take as much money as possible, and then if that fades, they go on to the next big thing, you know.
So it's a multi-billion pound business now, you know.
Yeah. All you have to do really is look at Ibiza and how much that's changed. You know, you've still got Pikes, which is great. I love the 528 now. At Pike.
We were there a couple of weeks ago. Yeah,
Akasha still got that underground feel, but you know, it's changed so much since I first, you know, started going, and that was like, you know, 80s, 90s.
Yeah.
You know, it's just sad to see that, you know, everywhere you look in Ibiza now, it's just brands.
Yeah. It's big business. Yeah.
You know, and it goes in the businessman's pocket.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We all know that.
They'll work the hell out of the DJ. You know, pay him so much that the agent gets paid this amount. They're
all getting paid serious money. Yeah, I mean, I'll give it to 528 though. They really have kept the spirit, and we were out there a couple of weeks ago. It was me, Carl Irving, and Dave Beer, and we had a great time. It was a great venue, and the drinks are reasonable, and it's a bit of an older demographic crowd, but they're into the music. Do you know what I mean? So it was perfect for us, and you know, hope we get invited back because I loved it.
I mean, I messaged Carl the other day, and I think he's still not back to normal. After he pretty much said.
Well, he said a wedding, Glastonbury, loads of festivals, but you know, Carl's a trooper, man.
Yeah. He looks like he's a trooper, but yeah, he's telling me he's proper fucked.
yeah, he's out and about all the time. I don't know how he does it, but it's part of his job as well. You know.
Yeah.
You know, editor in chief. Definitely chief.
yeah, definitely. And I mean, working for DJ Mag, you know, doing which to me, you know, still going after all these years. You know, you used to have music, you know, Mix Mag. Yeah. Is Mix Mag still around?
No. So, no, they stopped printing in lockdown. I think they still do their online things, but yeah, I don't know if it's got any relevance anymore, to be honest.
I used to buy those magazines all the time. You know,
yeah, me too. Yeah,
you know,
You're
just
traveling somewhere, you jump on the train, you WH Smiths, you buy them, don't you? Something to read along the way. But everyone's got his smartphones and that now. It's a bit different.
yeah, everybody's too involved in the phones. They're like zombies, basically. Everybody's walking around like a zombie, looking at the phones. I mean, that's the first thing you do when you get up, innit?
Yeah, mad, isn't it? When you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, I even do it, and I even I talk about it like, I'm always going, put your phone down, like, communicate like with one another, like physically, like
Yeah,
that's the first thing I do. I check my phone in the morning.
yeah. It's mad when you think about it like that. Yeah,
It is, my kiddos are, I mean, they're at a young age, they're not even in their teens, and they're like, "Can I have a phone?" I'm like, "What do you need a phone for?"
yeah. They've all
Really?
got them, haven't they?
Yeah, they do, and they're all on the internet, and then they're watching stuff they're not supposed to, that their minds can't
Yeah.
comprehend
It's hard
what
to control now.
it is, and that's why I think the whole TikTok, Instagram needs to be kind of looked at like age wise, because
Yeah,
I mean, my kids play a game called Roblox,
right.
and basically, you're playing against some other people, and you don't know who you're playing against, and it's supposed to be a kid game, and my missus just came out yesterday and was like, "Yeah, get them off Roblox because there's old people on there pretending to be kids." I'm just
Oh
like,
God.
it's the world we live in. It's just gotten, it's gotten worse,
Yeah,
and
scary, man.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, my kids all want, iPads for their birthdays and Christmas, and I'm like, no, go outside, play in the garden. They're like, why would I do that?
What's
Why?
wrong with you?
I mean, we grew up in a time where I wouldn't come home until the streetlights came on.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I had to be home. Like my mum and dad, when the streetlights come on, you better be in the house. You're like, all right, nice one. Uh,
Play in the park on your bike and stuff
yeah,
like that. Yeah,
just being a kid, and again, things change, and obviously, the music industry has changed. It's gotten greedier. Um, like when you were younger as well, and you're probably just like me and every other English family. You're a big top of the pops Thursday night, family. You sit there with the family and watch Top of the Pops. You watch a cheese fest, but then as the 80s and 90s progressed, you started seeing singers on there that you're like, like hip hop. Like for me, seeing Eric B and Rakim and Colt
yeah,
on there was just mind altering for me. I've
yeah,
always
yeah,
I'm a big hip hop fan as well. I don't like rap music because
yeah.
it just doesn't kind of relate. Hip hop does because it was funkier. De La Soul, Tribe Called Quest, Sonic.
Yeah, amazing stuff. Yeah,
Or
I went to see Public Enemy a couple of weeks ago. Um, it was a big place in London. I've gone a bit stupid. What's it called again?
well, there's many places in London.
Oh, not Hammersmith Palace. Oh God, I can't remember what it's called. I've just dumbed down on it. Jesus, what was that called? All right, let's forget it. It's going to drive me mad. But it was amazing.
Yeah, I heard like they're on point. Even Flav was like,
Sorry, Royal Albert Hall. That's it.
there you go.
Oh,
Yeah, the
bloody
big
hell.
one, the big one.
Yeah, the big one. I can't remember the name of it. Oh,
I actually saw Beastie Boys open up for Public Enemy in 1988.
wow.
It was just again one of those
Def Jam tour.
yeah, it was always in
Yeah,
my memory, and that's when Beastie Boys had two girls in cages on either side of the stage. Again, how times change because they'd probably look back on that and go, that was cringy. We should never have done that. But Beastie Boys were just like came out of they worked hard and they're really good musicians.
yeah,
But
really good. Yeah,
being Public Enemy just opened my ears and my eyes to a whole different like vibe.
yeah, yeah.
And for me, especially because I moved to America in the early '90s.
Right.
It is my first stint in America was an exchange student in New York, and that's what I thought the rest of America was like New York, hustle and bustle. And
No.
I moved to the deep south.
Yeah.
So that was eye-opening because, racism is still massive. Obviously, it's still here in America. It's reared its ugly head again because,
Yeah.
there's an orange buffoon running the country and people seem to think they can say whatever they want now. But, back in the day, it was just, I learned so much, like hip hop wise, from the black community. And I've always loved like African music. I've always loved West Indies music. One of my best mates, his family's from West Indies, so I already got into that culture. But hearing like hip hop for the first time, and just how the DJs as well used it. Grandmaster Flash, like you said, Cool
Yeah,
Herc.
brilliant.
It's just awe-inspiring.
Yeah, I love the history of it as well. It's just all amazing. And
it is. Well, I mean, it started like block parties,
yeah,
and it went from there. Then obviously, again, it's a lot of it's gone mainstream. People want to get their claws into the these new like rap stars, and it's just I'm with you on. I don't like the kind of gangster stuff because I can't relate to that.
yeah.
I just can't. I don't know any bitches or hoes. So you know what I mean. That's why I just stick with the
I
fun.
did love NWA when it come out though. It's just I just found it so funny as well because they were taking the piss a bit.
Oh
know.
yeah,
But, like
he was a mastermind.
yeah, like and the Easy Does It album that was absolutely brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came up the other day, and I'd listened to that the other day, and it's like, wow, this is just so brilliant. And of course, that's Dre's early stuff, but Dre was actually in another thing called the World Class Wrecking Crew, which was really early '80s, which was more electro stuff with Yella as well. He was in that. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's weird to think of like Snoop Dogg and Ice Cube, right? NWA, you've got Snoop Dogg with Def Records,
Death Row.
Def Records, and now they're doing like family shows, and it's just quite bizarre. I mean, Friday with Ice Cube is one of my favorite movies because it's just it's funny, but it's also like how it was back then. But
Yeah.
just to see how like they've come from like gangster rappers to like family kind of people.
Yeah.
And again, people
Household names and superstars, actors.
yeah. But
Brilliant.
people grow, just like the ego goes away, and they're like, I'm looking after my family. I can't be doing what I was doing back then. Can't be saying what I was back then. So yeah, it's a big change in watching this whole thing just go around, But it's it's the music world, the film world that we live in, and yeah, I'm here for it all. That's the good thing.
yeah, exactly, man.
Well, what have you got upcoming?
What have I got upcoming? Yeah, I'd say, yeah. Obviously, this disco album that I've started. I started a new project with a friend of mine, Scott Booth, called the Sci-Fi Soul Orchestra, which we're both supposed to be keeping it super secret, but it's like we're not now. And we've done an album called We've Arrived, which is it's very house techno, but it's very sort of futuristic, and we're still putting the finishing touches on it. It's more sort of vocals need to be recorded more first. There's a few songs we need to finish, and then it was the album like with Irving's book which we only found out we were going to do last summer. So even though me and Irvin have been talking about doing a disco album together for about 3 years, this is how it come about. So we decided, because me and Scott sort of wrote the music of that one, and Irvin wrote the vocals, which came from the Men in Love book that's just about to drop. We done it as Irvin Wilson's Sci-Fi Soul Orchestra. So this is actually our first album that's coming out. Another We've Arrived album won't be till next year. So we're just taking a little bit of a break from the studio, because, you know, it was just so much work involved in getting this done. And now it's, you know, mastered, pressed, and all sounds great. And we've got a little tour coming up as well now, where we're going. Irvin's doing a lot of bookstore Q&As, a couple of festivals, and different cities around the country. So we're sort of tagging along with him and doing parties afterwards. So, you know, Scott's coming along, and then Carl's coming along with us as well. So I think me, Carl, and Irvin are going to DJ together at these parties. So once that's done, I literally spoke to Scott yesterday. I go, right, okay, it's we need to book some time in now. And so I think, you know, sort of after the first week of August, we're back in studio. And then we'll start bringing the vocalists in to finish these records off and just get it ready for next year. So yeah, it's going to be all systems go again soon.
Oh wow! I do want to, you know, as you talked about the Trainspotting musical, obviously that soundtrack, you know, was you know, really kind of put Underworld on the map.
It did.
How do you look at that, you know, and musically, like, and have an idea, like, do you? I'm trying to think of like how to kind of say this, like, you know, obviously that's an iconic album, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people bought that album, and how do you, you know, do you just start from scratch again, or are you using any of that?
Well, we've only used 3 records from the original soundtrack, which is Iggy, Lust for Life, Underworld, Born Slippy, and Lou Reed, Perfect Day. The rest we've done ourselves, and because it works so, because it's a musical, it just works so well what we've done with the show and Irvin's script. Because it's hard to explain. I mean, when we done the first rehearsals, we kind of realised that there were some records that wasn't working. So we took them off. We wrote some more, put them in. That worked. Then there was a couple that wasn't working. We took them off, wrote some more, and until we got it right. And I think we're kind of there now. Yeah.
Is it going to be an orchestra with it, or like a live?
There's going to be a band, but because it's a West End show, I don't think I think it would be way too costly to put an orchestra in as well. But what we are going to do, we will go and record it, so it will have backup, but there will be a band playing as well. But because some of it's electronic too, you're gonna have that system where it plays some stems off the thing in the band play to it as well, with click tracks in the ear, you know. But yeah, it's quite exciting stuff.
Yeah, it does sound. It just sounds absolutely amazing. I hope you get a good run of it. You know, I love Trainspotting. I mean, even Trainspotting 2, I was a bit like, you know, how are they going to do? You know, how they?
Yeah, they pulled it off. I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, it's had its critics, but you know, I love the actors. I love all 4 of them.
Irvin's cameo where he says absolutely nothing. You know.
Yeah, I think it's brilliant. But mate, you know, like I always say in my chats, an hour goes by so quickly. You know,
It does.
talking about things that you love and stuff. But where can people usually get you know, listen to your mixes and your tracks?
Sorry. Oh, right.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. I mean,
I totally missed that. Where can they get? I need to send you some links, don't I? Really?
yeah. I mean,
Um,
obviously, the main one, Spotify, Beatport.
yeah. The Spotify Beatport. We've got the Jack Said What website as well, which is got all most of the things to it. But there's the Port Sunshine label, which we're doing the album on, the Men in Love album, because that's we've done vinyl and CDs of that as well, and there's special train spotting editions like orange vinyl and stuff. But I'm going to send you all them links so you can put it up on the podcast, because I can't remember them off the top of my head. There's too many of them.
Yeah, I'll definitely put the links up. Again, Steve, thanks for coming on. Again,
Thanks for having us, Daz.
It's another bucket moment for me. Again, I do this podcast because I get to talk to people like yourself who have been a part of my musical journey. So, to hear the stories and stuff is just, it warms my heart that, people like yourself are still going strong. And, this dance music is still a massive part of a lot of people's lives. So,
Absolutely.
Thank you everyone for listening. Please like, subscribe, put your notifications on. As I always say, go check out new music, but go check out old music as well. You might find something that you fall in love with. And, this world's a crazy place. Please look after one another and take care. Until next time, I'll see you.
Thanks, Daz. Cheers, mate.